Let's say you want to read a primary research paper in life sciences. Do you expect to find subheadings in the introduction section? If present, they will help us read the section. Let's do a reality check and talk about the result. Hi everyone, welcome to the Foundational Skills in Life Sciences podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Synaptologica. We discuss the skills that life science scholars learn, use, and improve throughout professional activities. Your benefit is expressed in my motto, learn the skills, enjoy academic life. The last episode. In the last episode, episode 54, we started talking about the introduction section of life science papers. By the way, in the last episode, I forgot to mention that we went into a new step, step 15, for reading the introduction section. Its name is Step 15, Read the Introduction section of the article. What we did there was the first sub-step that would be helpful for reading the introduction in any paper. Step 15-1, Express the role of the introduction in one sentence. We expressed the role of the introduction in one sentence, and our idea is that the role of the introduction is to expand the trio of abstract components. Those three abstract components are the background, the known, and the unknown components. The introduction will give details to these three components with cited references so that these abstract components become stronger and credible in the author's context. So the single sentence was that the role of the introduction is to elaborate the background, the known, and the unknown trio of components in the abstract by adding evidence and citing references. This sentence is good because it integrates most of the answers by my trainees when they are asked, "What does the introduction do?" It is a very simple answer. But more importantly, this sentence will help us greatly when we analyze the details of the introduction in our later episodes. Today's episode. We will do the following one sub-step today. Step 15-2, scan the introduction and check if subheadings are used. Together with other sub-steps in step 15, today's sub-step is like the introduction to the introduction section of a paper. We will keep reading our Milestone Article 1 as an example. It was written by the 2023 Nobel Prize laureates in physiology or medicine. The laureates were Dr. Katalin Karikó and Dr. Weissman. And the paper was published in 2005 in the journal Immunity. I will show you a link to the paper in the episode description. As is always the case in our episodes, this paper will give us one of the best examples. Now, let's work on today's sub-step. Step 15-2, scan the introduction and check if subheadings are used. In this sub-step, we would like to check whether subheadings are used within the introduction section. If a paper section uses subheadings, it means that the section is divided into multiple subsections. Each subsection contains a single conceptual group of clustered information. Each subsection has a starting title, which is the subheading, and the subheading will show the keyword or the key message of the subsection, and it will serve as a signpost. So the subheadings will make it easier for us readers to read and understand the subsections, and therefore the entire section. But in almost all the primary research papers in life sciences these days, the introduction section has no subheadings. Let's do a reality check. By this, we are going to confirm that no subheadings were used in the introduction of our Milestone Article 1 of the Nobel laureates. This happens to be the same with the discussion section too. In the paper, let's check how long the introduction section is and whether subheadings are used. And let's do this by comparing the major sections of the paper: the abstract, the introduction, the results, the discussion, and the method sections. And we will do it in the order that the sections appear in the paper. In the PDF format of the paper, you will find the actual lengths of the sections in the following way. When I say that the section is long, by the way, it means that it is almost 1 page long or even longer. The abstract is called the summary in this paper. It is short. It is a single paragraph occupying about 1/5 of a page. It does not use subheadings, but the structure and content are clear to us already because we have analyzed the abstract in previous episodes. The introduction section is long. It occupies almost 1 page, but the introduction section does not use subheadings. Next, the results section is long. It occupies about 5 pages, together with the figures. The text part is still long, at roughly 2.5 pages, excluding the figures and their legends. But a good thing about the long results section is that it uses subheadings. In the Milestone Article 1, the long results section is divided into 4 subsections, and each subsection has a subheading. For example, the first subheading reads, quote, "Naturally occurring RNAs are not equally potent activators of dendritic cells," close quote. The subheading briefly indicates what the following contents would show. Because the subheadings are used, they make the reading of the individual subsections easier to understand, and so they make the reading of the entire results section easier to understand. Next, the discussion section is long. It occupies almost 2 pages. But the discussion section does not use subheadings. And lastly, the method section is called the experimental procedures in this paper. It is long. It occupies almost 1 page with a small font size. But a good thing about the long method section is that it uses subheadings, like in the results section. This long method section is divided into 8 subsections, and each subsection has a subheading. For example, the first subheading reads, quote, "Plasmids and reagents," close quote. And the second subheading reads, quote, "Cells and cell culture," close quote. Because the subheadings are used, they make the reading of the individual subsections easier to understand, and so they make the reading of the entire method section easier to understand. So here are the 3 things that we found about these sections. 1. All 4 major sections were long. They were the introduction, the results, the discussion, and the method sections. 2. Among these 4, the results and the method sections used the subheadings. 3. But the remaining 2 sections, the introduction and the discussion sections, did not use the subheadings. Now, there's a reason for this. In most of the journals, the instructions for authors will say that the standard format does not use subheadings in the introduction and the discussion sections. What does this finding tell us? Let's confine our discussion to the introduction today. We will talk about the subheading usage in the discussion section in our later episodes. We found that the introduction section did not use subheadings. If subheadings were used, they would have indicated the summary or the keywords of the subsections. But subheadings were not used. It means that the introduction section will not show us any apparent guidance about the content. So when we read the introduction, we need to think about the content ourselves. What we would want to do then is to give our own subheadings within the introduction, and we will do this internally in our minds. A good thing is that the authors will help us here, because good authors will follow a principle so that the reading will become easy. And this principle is expressed in our single-sentence statement about the role of the introduction. Again, it was that the role of the introduction is to elaborate the background, known, unknown trio of components in the abstract by adding evidence and citing references, so that these abstract components become stronger and credible in the author's context. When we read the introduction, our job is to pick up those three components from the written text, that is, the background, the known, and the unknown components. And this attention to the trio of abstract components will be equivalent to placing our own subheadings within the introduction. Lesson today. We checked the internal structure of the introduction in our Milestone Article 1 by the Nobel laureates, and we found that no subheadings were used. This means that the introduction section is a cohesive block of text without explicit internal divisions. This further means that we, the readers, will have to look for the meanings of the individual parts of the introduction. We will need some guidance for that, and we will talk about it in the following episodes, starting from the next. Your action. When you read the introduction section of any paper next time, please pay attention to whether it has subheadings or not. Most likely, the introduction section will not use subheadings. But if it does, please let me know. And also, please let me know whether those subheadings helped your reading or not. I would like to hear from you. Please send me an email. My email address is ideas@synaptologica.com. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Foundational Skills in Life Sciences. I'm Dr. Synaptologica. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.